Well, we're somewhere in Los Angeles. I don't really know where. We just got off the 405 and the 10 to Santa Monica store. That's not very good. But we've left Disneyland, sadly, with a warm place in our hearts. It was so much better than last time. I really had a good time, and now I'm feeling like I need to go back. Like, is that downtown LA?
This is just,
I don't know. I don't know where I am. But we're gonna head up the coast, maybe through Malibu. I don't know where we're gonna hit. We're gonna jump on the coast because we've got a long ride up to Emeryville to go see my kid and check out Pixar. I don't know if this will be one video, two videos, maybe many, but if you're watching this one, it's first. We are headed to Pixar. And then Disney Family Museum and some interesting San Francisco area stuff, so stick around, enjoy the drive. Yeah, I didn't think about that. In and out for lunch. Double animal style.
really good ideas.
Kay is full of good ideas. Luscious grass. I don't know. How do you water? All right. Well, we've picked up August from his internship at Pixar. Kay's here. And we are heading, well, we've already headed into the Presidio. Now we are heading into the Disney Family Museum. I can see Alcatraz. The Golden Gate Bridge is right behind there. This is going to be pretty cool. But we are late, as often is our way. So hopefully they'll still let us in. Figure out exactly what goes on here at the Presidio, because I saw Lucasfilm is here. That's all. That's all I saw was here. I don't know what goes on. I mean, obviously it was a military base, but I don't know much about it. And I think Sean Connery had something to do with it. No, he was in a movie. But it feels well designed. This is pretty cool. There they are, sitting right at their apartment. And we just took a picture of ourselves on the other side of that window just 2 days ago. This is pretty amazing, and we haven't even been scanned into the museum yet. But just tons and tons of awards. Look, there's the key to San Francisco. I know the glare is not great, but pretty good little collection of Academy Awards, and just imagine Shirley Temple right behind there.
Aren't you proud of it, Mr. Disney? I'm so proud, I think I'll bust.
Let's see what we got. Honorable mention. Outstanding achievement. Best documentary. So we've got a nice little history of Walt's family. Starting in England, right? Or Normandy.
How they did it, but he eventually ended up in Chicago.
There's Walt in grammar school. See if you can pick out which one he is. And here in high school, maybe a little easier to discern who he is here, huh? That handsome fella. Pretty cool to see some non-mouse drawings of Walt. And I think, you know, we read how he did some cartoons in the military, but this is pretty cool. I wonder if that's literally an original. That's pretty wild. And of course, we know. And so this is sure a replica, but it says do not touch. It might be something, but this is Walt driving an ambulance in World War I. There's a picture of him. It looks like he drew a little cartoon on there. There's so much about Walt I don't know. Like, I'm not exactly a Walt historian buff, even though I'm fascinated by it. And I've read a couple different biographies. But I feel like I learn something new every day. These are some of the valet box that was below the top shelf of the box were all sorts of personalized. So these are maybe his grandfather's stuff. Yeah, the time he spent in France, the Red Cross. Oh, this is. I'm not sure what this is. I probably should read before I start filming. When I was 12 or 13 years old, my Granny Lily would give me a valet box that belonged to my grandpa. Underneath the top shelf of this box were all sorts of personal items he held over the years, mementos from his life. A small weathered old bag that had many small items that appeared to be full of mementos from the time he spent in France with the Red Cross. So this might have been Walt's stuff. Wow. Is that real? Like, sometimes I never know. But is that really his certificate? And Walt's up here in the center of this back row. I feel kind of like Dead Poets. It's like, Carpe diem. Seize the day, boys. Look at that. Oh, and look, there's the Strasbourg clock. This is something I read in Ken Bruce's book. That this was actually part of what got Walt interested. Like, this is the beginning of animatronics right here. And he was fascinated by it. And then that little bird he got for Lillian in New Orleans. But this might be the reason that we have that Walt animatronic now. Kind of wild what grabs you and then hangs on forever, you know? It's just kind of cool. Pretty wild.
And I was carrying the full milk bottle, and then he reversed the film so that I backed up, a milk all came up in the bottle. That was one little film that we did.
Look, there's Walt's mom. Pretty amazing. This room kind of details the failures and Laugh-O-Grams, his first company. There's even a paper from a bankruptcy proceeding over there. This was a brand new medium, right?
Actually, in the first animated cartoons, 1920. This started back in Kansas City, Missouri, where I was working in we made the little advertisements for theater. It's equivalent to what you see in TV commercials today, you know? Put your winter coal in early, you know? Get your fedora block for the winter and all those kinds of things. I used sort of little puppet things. We didn't draw them like we do today. I used to make little cutout things and joints for pins and put them on the camera and we'd maneuver them and make them do things.
The great thing about seeing all this, and over here you can listen and hear that it details all of his failures. And that's something a lot of times I think we don't think about, is how much he failed, how many times he sold the farm to really, you know, make this happen. I mean, Walt said everyone needs a good failure early in life, but it's cool to see that he was worried, like all of us. Right?
That's about my office.
Does it?
Yeah.
You think they're going this way? I guess they have to be.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, you almost can't even see a difference. That's a pretty grand scale. This looks like, and I can't tell if the glare is good or not, the earliest known drawing of Mickey Mouse. Just to knock Oswald out of the way. To hell with him, he said. And I'm quoting. It's up there. I'm not just swearing for fun. But it's pretty wild that they went bankrupt, couldn't get a job, so they opened up their own studio. Watched Oswald become successful and then kind of literally drive him out of business. And then figured out how to add sound. They were the first cartoon studio in Hollywood. And Walt never, ever worked for any studio in Hollywood except his own. Isn't that wild? These are iWorks drawings. I'd like to write this. Advise you to immediately get a loan as large as possible to have sufficient cash to carry things through properly. That's the way to do it, right? Right here it says that he wanted to get the sound done, and this Pat Powers had this equipment, and everyone was trying to get it, so this Cinephone. So Walt signed a 10-year contract, and Roy said, "Did you read it?" "No, I didn't read it." "What the hell? I wanted the equipment." Isn't that perfect? But there's just these people in life who have those kinds of ability to see that or make a decision, or maybe not. Maybe just make a whole bunch of bad decisions, and 7 of them turn out right, and they just happen to get lucky. Steamboat Willie, big hit, and they started adding sound to Plain Crazy, which I think is the first one Mickey talks in. And then there was some merchandising along the way. And I don't think Walt initially did it. I think there was another guy whose name I can't remember. He's probably in here somewhere. Okay. If you're looking for Christmas, I'd like to have this wall in my home.
Write that down.
In ink. The other thing I think is interesting. What's that?
That one is scary.
Lots of them are scary. Those first costumes.
Individual teeth like that.
So weird. Show them again.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
I think the cool thing is too is that there's several different versions of how Mickey Mouse, after they lost Mortimer, and he said he created it on a train, which I believe, but then he called it Mortimer, and then Lillian said no, and I've heard that she suggested Mickey, but according to over there, they came up with it later. A lot of misinformation. It's hard to know the truth from that long ago. Pretty cool, this room, detailing the silly symphonies, and look, you got Walt and Lillian. Maybe that's the dog he surprised her with. In a hat box, a la Lady and the Tramp, building their home. Look, I know those guys. Walt's family, his daughters. Comic books, Ferdinand the Bull, and over there, talking about inventing storyboarding. And that wall over there kind of details Mickey and Minnie and Pluto and Goofy and Donald and how they evolved. And Donald, it sounds like he heard the voice on a radio and called the guy, and then built Donald Duck. And Donald Duck was Mickey's alter ego, right? Because Mickey can't get mad. Mickey has to stay calm and nice. Donald can be crazy and wild. There's lots of video of Uncle Walt here that I really like.
Please bear with us because we may not succeed in looking as young as we did when we created our first song hit, Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf? We had just finished a short subject about Noah's Ark, and all the story sketches were being taken down off the board. Now, we were waiting for an idea for this.
Whatever we do, boys, let's don't make so darn many animals in it. You guys went crazy trying to draw all those characters in the yard. We need to change of pace. Something simple, just 3 or 4 characters.
Well, how about the one we've always wanted to do and never got around to?
Oh, wow, and you think about hundreds of artists who work together to...
It was unnecessary. It was not. I know it's 2020. Thank you. That was exactly what we wanted.
Fascinating to see how he went from shooting animals and making cartoons to a serious movie with Snow White. And what a huge success it was, and how everyone said it was going to fail. But they had to bring in focus on artists at least who could do human figures and make it realistic. And once again, everyone was pretty sure it was gonna fail, right? Disney's folly. This room's pretty cool. Starts talking about after Snow White and building the Burbank studio and getting out of the cramped Hyperion quarters, which is kind of amazing, but also how they ended up losing some of the feeling, the familyness of how small it was. I don't want to bother anybody else, so just take some video, and plus you should come here yourself, but this is pretty darn amazing. And some of the original stuff that's in here is incredible.
before I could even turn those to my labor.
It's an interesting time as Walt had tried to build this family inside the studio, and now he's being villainized. We look back and don't think about it that way, but these folks may have seen it a little differently.
I didn't know what to do. I wanted to close, so I said, I'll close it and let them settle it.
Can you imagine if he'd given in?
The toughest period I've had my whole life.
I think he really felt hurt.
There wasn't a worry of losing. It was just sort of a big
People to think he wasn't thinking of them. Hard for us to feel that way. All the stuff they did for the war effort, and they closed the studio down, and the army moved in. And Walt kind of liked it. He thought it was cool. He wanted to help. This is a cool exhibit, but now I'm wondering, I have my grandfather's shell back at home, and I wonder if Disney designed that. I forget, we did a podcast episode about all the art they did and how many different designs. Now we're getting into the definite Disney of my childhood, but this is crazy. Hold on a sec. All right. That guy's gone. But look at this. They had to figure out a good camera to film 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and there was no underwater housing, so they built it themselves. It's not on there, but that's the camera they used. And then they had to make their own underwater housing. I feel like Disney just created everything. It's wild. Yeah, I read a lot about this in Ken Bruce's Before the Birds Sang Words.
Oh my god, I want that wardrobe.
Shameless plug. But how cool is this? The miniatures were such a big part of Walt. That's bad glare, but
I want that wardrobe.
that's wild, isn't it? It kind of looks like a Jim Shore wardrobe, though. Look, little tiny Life magazines. Look at all these little miniature things. Oh, look, miniature Colt Walker model revolver and ninja wrench. Oh, nipple wrench.
What does that mean?
$139. Look, tiny swords, tiny plates, tiny candelabras, tiny bottles, tiny tools. I will say, while you're here at the Walt Disney Museum, you get a pretty good view of the Golden Gate Bridge. Man, that's not too bad. Wow. Amazing. And there's Sausalito off in the distance. Kind of cool to imagine that Walt might have actually sat on this bench. I'll go sit down. Look, just like Walt. Look up in, like you're checking out a cloud or something. All right, never mind, that's weird. All right, now we're really getting somewhere. Look at that. We'll get down there, but that is a total miniature with moving parts model of Disney World. And look, here's a model of the Carolwood Railroad. Is this really the train? Because if it is, that's wild. Look how amazing. There he is, right there running. That's incredible. How cool this is. It really was kind of wild. And then we watched these Disney shows as a kid. Reruns, there's Opening Day, Davy Crockett, Mark Twain. This is a cool room. Lots of Bob Gurr over there. Oh look, and there's an original Autopia car. Castle. I mean, this is just unbelievable.
Can we just keep it behind the...
Oh, sure. Thank you. Sorry.
No, no worries.
This is so incredible. I guess, yeah, that would be bad if something slipped. Wow. There's a little tiny Tinkerbell. Just amazing. Look, the little teacups are moving. There's some light up Haunted Mansion guys. Wow. You know, I didn't look up anything about this museum. I didn't watch any videos. Haven't really heard anything other than it's really cool. But that's insane. That's worth the price of admission right there. Holy smokes. Pretty cool here. I only have 2 autographs. One is Dick Van Dyke's and the other is Bob Gurr's. But look at this. This was something Walt gave to his grandson, and they would drive it around the back lot. And they also made little Autopia cars shaped like police cars to give kids too young to ride. A little extra thrill. So let's go over here some more. Because there's not a bad angle for this. I mean, look at the little Jungle Book guys. Pirates. Still has Sky Ride. There's Mr. Lincoln. Not sure where the dinosaurs fit in. Wow. Look at all this cool. I'm still disappointed that they don't re-release the Mickey Mouse Club original in its entirety. Man, I would still buy that helmet. How cool would that be? And I feel like they just re-released this mug. I feel like I just saw that at a shop. So cool. There's all, look at all those ticket books.
Yeah, I know these behaviors, they're devastating.
That one's missing an e-ticket.
When they interpret your stuff, like your behaviors in the most negative thing possible, and I've had that happen to me so many times.
That is really loud behind me. I'm trying to be as quiet as I can so I don't disturb anybody. These people are screaming at each other.
Yeah.
You know, you just wanted him to have just 10 more years, right? I think there's a few people who die and you think, wow, hard to believe they're gone. Just can't imagine what else he would have gotten done. Pretty cool. Her name was Mary Robinson. I mean, how much do you want a Mary Blair floor? I just stopped in the middle. That was really cool. That's a great museum. Even if I didn't love Disney, what do you guys think? Thumbs up?
Cool.
Enthusiastic thumbs up from everyone. It's like 25 bucks. And we spent what, 3 hours in there? 4 hours. 4 hours in there wandering around. That was really great. Great view of, you probably can't see it from here, but if you look over that way, that's Alcatraz. I'll see if I can zoom in. Right here at the Presidio, a decommissioned army base, which I said I would look up for you. And Diane Disney they asked her to write a book. And she thought this would be a better love letter to her dad, right? So if you're in San Francisco, I highly recommend checking this out. And then blah, 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 subscribe, share, check out the podcast. That's my kid who works at Pixar. We're going there on Monday. Have a big day.